Okay.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Maxwell Prep TV, where we are going to be featuring another student success story. Today, we are welcoming Miss Jada, who just graduated from Duke University and is in graduate school now. And so she's going to be talking to us a little bit about that experience or entering grad school, I guess, because we're on summer. And with that, Jada, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you studied in undergrad, what you're in graduate school for now, where you're from, and also tell us three ways that you would describe yourself. They don't have to be like serious or whatever, but just let us know who you are.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Mackenzie. I'm really excited to speak with you today. So hi everyone. My name is Jada Hinds. I currently go to Duke. So during my undergrad, I majored in mechanical engineering. And I'm also really interested in like business and marketing. So I'm doing a 4+1 program, where I'm getting my master's of engineering management. So with that program, I was able to take grad courses during my senior year. So I took about 4 courses last year, and now I'm just continuing on taking 4 more. So I'll be done in 1 semester, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, and then a few ways to describe me, I would say I'm very bubbly, curious, and energetic.
Okay, awesome. And I think definitely the first and the last are checking. Like right now, I'm like, yeah, she's bubbly and she's very energetic.
Yeah.
So I love that. You've met your match with me. So I think we're gonna bring a lot of energy
Yes.
to this conversation. So one thing I wanted to clarify is so you said a 4+1. Does that mean 4 years in undergrad plus like one additional something else?
Yeah, so it's usually 4 years in undergrad and then 1 additional year. Um,
Mhm.
but I was trying to save money, so I'm only doing it in a half. So it's like a four and a half
Oh,
for me.
okay.
Yeah.
So is it super compressed into one semester then? Like, are you I mean because you
Yeah.
usually
So yeah, basically it's my program is 8 courses. Some programs are 10 courses. So if you're doing a 10 course, you'll probably do it in a year. But mine's 8 courses. And the program is basically a way for you to save money. So you can choose how many courses you want to take your senior year.
uh,
And your senior year courses that you take for grad school count under your undergrad tuition. So usually people take maybe like 2 to 3, and then they'll have like 6 to 5 to 6 classes to take, and they would do that within 2 semesters. But I was trying to save a lot of money, so I was like, how can I take 4 courses my senior year? So I took 4 courses
mm,
during my senior year. So I did half the program during my senior year, so I just have to
mm.
complete the other 4 courses, which I can do in a semester.
Okay, that's actually good to know because I was like, I know a lot of seniors underload their senior year.
Yeah.
So I take it you had already done all of your credits
If
and
I,
stuff.
yeah, if I under like if wasn't doing the grad course, I would have only had to take in like 2 classes my senior year. So
Okay, so that makes sense.
yeah.
Now, how did you get interested in like this intersection between you said mechanical engineering is what
Yeah.
you were a mechie, and then you said business as well?
Business
Like
and
you're
marketing. Yeah.
okay, so yeah, wait, how do those two things come together? Because usually I think of like engineers as a little
Yeah.
nerdy, a little just like bookish with their numbers. So how did that come to be?
Yeah, so I can start on the business marketing
Okay,
side first. So
good.
during high school, I worked with a field marketing agency called Arch Rival, and they worked under Hollister. So I was a Hollister brand agent, and I absolutely loved that job. It was just like bringing the brand to life using like high school students. It was just like a big marketing campaign that they had. So that really got me interested in like marketing and like bringing experiences to people. And then how I got into engineering. So also during my junior year of high school, during the junior year of my high school, I did a program called Code with Clossy.
Uh-huh.
It's basically like a coding program to teach young girls how to code. So I did that summer program. I was like, okay, I can be a coder, like engineering that route. And then applying to colleges. My mom, it was really my mom. She pushed me and she was like, Jada, you need to apply to engineering because I was always just really good at math and science. Like those are my top two.
Uh-huh.
So going into school, I just applied engineering and like not marketing because my mom was just like, Jada, you need to be an engineer. So I
Yeah.
followed her. And then yeah, once I got to Duke, I didn't really know if I wanted to do engineering. And that's also one of the main reasons why, oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
That's
You're good.
main reasons why I chose Duke, because they were like super flexible and allowing me to figure out like what I wanted to do. Um, so when I got in, I was like doing a few engineering courses, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I actually came into Duke ECE, which is electrical computer engineering. That's what I applied for because I was doing like the computer science route. Um, but then I quickly realized that I did not like ECE, like the back end computer stuff was just not me at all. So after like taking a few courses, I realized that I loved like the problem solving design aspect of engineering. And that's how I ended up in mechanical engineering, because I would say mechanical engineering is like the most broad engineering out of all of the engineering majors that you can choose from. Like, I feel like I could do anything with a mechanical engineering major with that degree. So that's how I ended up on that solely. And then once I was like, okay, I'll do mechanical engineering, I kind of thought to myself, like, okay, how am I going to get like this business marketing side of me that like I really enjoy, that I'm really passionate about? And I did consider doing, so Duke has like a markets and management certificate. So I did
Yep.
consider doing that. And I actually took like all of my electives were from that program. So I did take around like 5 marketing courses during my undergrad. But then I also found out about the 4+1 during my freshman year. And I was like, this is so perfect, because with the Masters of Engineering Management, it really just mixes together like engineering and business. Like I'm learning all about like the finance and like the law behind engineering, and why are we like creating products for people and things like that. So yeah, that's how I got here. It took a
Okay.
while, but I'm here now.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. And I appreciate you sharing all of that. And if you see me like writing stuff, I
oh,
literally have already created 4 questions that I want to ask you just based off of
okay.
the stuff that you said. So don't think I'm like being distracted or anything. I'm just like
No
trying to
problem at
remember
all.
what's going on. But before I get to those questions, what I want to ask is like, what are you up to now? Because I did mention I was like, okay, are you on summer like as grad this that last semester of grad school started up yet?
Okay, so yeah, so with my grad school program,
Yeah.
I do have to do like an internship to
Okay.
graduate. So
Okay.
this summer I did have an internship.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about, and wait. So tell us a little bit about that, and then those last 4 courses that you take, will that start up in August?
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah, with like regular undergrad, grad courses start the same. So I'm taking the 4 classes fall 2023, and I'll
Okay.
be done by December.
Okay. So tell us about your internship that you're working on. What is that? Like, what does
Okay.
that look like? What does it look like to be a working girl out of college
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah, I was a working girl for like 10 weeks, so not that long because it was an internship. But if you come back to me next year, I'll be able to like, give you more on what it's like to
Okay.
be like a full-time employee.
Wait, I should do
Um,
follow-up interviews, Jada.
oh,
That's such a good idea. Okay, okay. You just struck
yes,
something, but go.
follow up with the people. Um, so yeah, so this past summer I worked at Walt Disney Imagineering. I was a ride development engineering intern. So yeah,
Dang.
that was super cool. So basically, yeah, I worked on the department that I worked in. They basically go through like the whole ride design process. They're the ones who make like the ride vehicle
Jada,
systems.
this is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was amazing.
And I
Yeah.
guess that would make sense because like mechanical rides and such, like that would make sense.
Yeah, a lot of engineers like work at Disney. Like people have to make the rides, like even just like
Oh my gosh.
software engineers, control engineers, ECE, like there's like so many avenues like if you want to work in the theme park industry as like an engineer, or just like any major, like if you want to work in marketing and you love Disney, like you can work there.
Whoa.
So,
So were you doing a lot of like mathy type things in that environment?
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I was.
okay.
So, yeah.
Did you miss the business aspect of like, being in the room, helping make decisions, like talking from a more marketing perspective? Were you like, yeah, I got my math fix, which was good for me.
Yeah, not really. I'm at a
Okay.
point now where I've decided that I want to be a mechanical engineer first.
Okay. Okay.
years out, get that experience. And a lot of like my mentors have been telling me like it's good to get that engineering experience, and then you can move on to like a management position. But I feel like I've been hearing and also doing the work, I realized that like you need to know like what your engineers are doing and like what type of work, what challenges they're going to face. And it's better to get that hands-on experience. So yeah, I definitely see myself doing a mechanical engineering role before hopping into the business side of things.
Okay, now, and that makes sense. I mean, I don't know a ton about like going from mechanical, like being an engineer to doing like business, but that does make sense to kind of get the nitty gritty behind the scenes before you're actually helping
Yeah.
make more general decisions. Now, a question that is, what why are people emailing? Too much is going on. I need to learn how to mute my background. But what I was going to ask is, did you find that there were, because a stereotype about being in these STEM spaces, these engineering spaces, is that it's dominated by a lot of white men, old white men,
Yes.
right? And so, what was your experience like with that? How did you find mentors? Did you have people there that looked like you? Did you feel like you were able to create some alliances? I know you said it was 10 weeks, but I'm sure there
Yeah.
was some tea. I'm sure there was some juice, Jada.
Yeah, so I would say like the ride development engineering department, um, it was it was predominantly white people. It was. But they are making strides to make their team more diverse. Our intern class, majority of us were women, from different backgrounds, different identities. It wasn't just like white women. So we all like had different backgrounds, different identities. So they're definitely working hard to like bring in like a new culture, new diversity within the department. And I definitely felt that just by seeing like they hired me, and then they also hired other women and then other males from like different identities, which was really nice. So yeah, I feel like I had a great experience learning from them. And then also, we also have to remember Disney is like a huge company. Like there's only so much they can do. But they are definitely trying. So, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say like I wasn't thrown in the deep end, because I just feel like even going to Duke, like a PWI, like I was like the only Black girl in my class. So it was fine. Like it wasn't anything like not normal or
Out
something
of the
that I
ordinary.
was to, yeah.
So in spaces like working for Walt Disney, doing engineering at in Pratt, which is Duke School of Engineering, how did you feel like you tapped into or practice like advocacy in those spaces and like practice taking up space as a
Mhm.
woman of color? Like, what was your strategy? What was your MO with that?
Yeah. I can maybe talk more about like the school
Yeah, yeah,
part,
yeah,
like going to
absolutely.
Duke.
Hmm.
I would say from my freshman year, I joined the National Society of Black Engineers. I was on their exec board from freshman year. I was a senator. And then my sophomore and junior
Okay.
year, I was the public relations chair. And then senior year, I was the president. So just throughout, like just having that community and like building friendships, mentors throughout that program, throughout that chapter, it really just like it showed me that I can do it, because there was just a community of Black engineers on Duke's campus and we had each other's backs. And I really enjoyed that. And then just also we at Duke, we were able to go like to the national conferences. So also seeing like professionals at the conferences was really nice. And then going to like the career fair and seeing that companies wanted people like us to be working at their
Hmm.
companies,
Hmm.
was really empowering too. And like going to like different workshops and talks, like they're all very inspirational and they get you inspired and pumped up, ready to be an engineer. So I would say like Nesby really like helped me take space, and then also just being really involved on Duke's campus. So I was a TA for like a first year design course. And then I was like a peer advisor for incoming freshmen that were a part of Pratt, which is the engineering school. So I would say like also building connections that were outside of the Nesby also helped me. So I was able to like know different people that worked in the Pratt office, and then also getting to know my professors was a good way. And then also just building connections in my class, like becoming friends with the people that I sit next to every day for 4 years, really helped me throughout the whole experience. So yeah, I would just say like a mix of those, and yeah, really just making those friendships, because like the people in in your class, those are the people you're gonna have study groups with. If you need help with the homework, like they'll help you out. You'll try to figure it out with them. So I feel like those were like the spaces that like I was really able to like thrive in, and just help other people out and they help me out.
Absolutely.
I would say in like a company setting, so I actually got my offer through the NSBE conference with Disney. So I think like
And
that was,
for people listening, Nesby is what she was talking about at the beginning, the Black students in
yeah.
engineering. So
So
just
NSBE
so
is the
people.
National Society of Black Engineers. So yeah, I'm gonna say NSBE from now on. So yeah, so I got my first, so I actually worked at Disney my junior year summer too. So this was my second summer working at Disney. So yeah, I got that opportunity through the NSBE conference. So I thought that was super empowering too. And then also through both, so I worked at two different departments, and both of those departments, my manager was Black, which was amazing at Disney in engineering. So I just felt like I was seen, I was heard, like, not that I wouldn't have been seen or heard if like somebody who didn't look like me was heading me, but just having somebody that looked like me in a top position was like super rewarding and empowering. Just being in the space and just being there for 10 weeks and seeing how they work was really empowering. So
And I hope that that's encouraging for people who are listening of, yeah, you know, we come from a history where that's not really the case, but we are slowly but surely, hopefully, making our way where we can see more people who look like us who are in positions of power. So I hope that while Jada, your story might not be generalizable completely, it is still an anecdote that I hope people can be encouraged by. I think I'm trying to decide what I want to hit on. One, I can tell that mentorship has been a huge part of just like your journey to success. I mean, you talked about mentorship through these conferences, mentorship through NSBE, even you serving as a mentor through peer advising and through being a TA. How did you seek out mentors, right? Because I'm sure it's because of those people that you were able to find out about things like the 4+1 program and things like that. Like, how did you get yourself in the right spaces to connect with people who have knowledge that you're seeking to have? Because that can be intimidating, that can be scary. And yeah, tell us a little bit about your strategy there.
yeah, so my tip for people would be just to join an organization that like you feel passionate about, or like that you identify with, that people have the same passions as you. It doesn't have to be like a major organization like NSBE. It could just be like something you enjoy doing. Like if you enjoy dancing, it could be people that are on your dance team, different things like that. But yeah, I would say like I found majority of my mentors through NSBE, and then also my professors, like having at least like 1 to 2 professors that you know you can reach out to, ask them for advice. And like even when I was deciding if I wanted to be a mechanical engineering major, I called my freshman year professor and asked her, and she like gave me her phone number so I could call her and ask her. So like that was just, and like since then she's been my mentor. She's still my mentor to this day. But yeah, just finding a professor that you connect with, and then even if you can't find a professor, like a current professor that's actually a professor now, like find people that are working in a space that you want to work in, like where you want to be, and just like reach out to them, like offer to have a coffee chat, like do the different things like that. And I feel like that's like the best way. And then also like when you're doing like an internship, make sure to get coffee chats with people in your office. Like you don't just have to be in contact with your manager. You can also connect with like other employees there that work either in your department or in different departments. So definitely like do coffee chats with different people. It can be like, doesn't even have to be an hour. It can be 30 minutes. Just quick talk, just understand what they do, what their role is. And if you're more interested, like you can go deeper into that. But yeah, I would say like those are like the few ways I've been able to like build mentors, both like in school and like in a professional setting.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because I think something I live by is this is a who you know world. So you've got to work on cultivating those relationships. And I
Mhm.
think you gave some good advice about that. I want to pivot a little bit and backtrack to something that you said earlier about I want to return to how you are kind of pursuing this dual passion of mechanical engineering and business. At any time in your life, did you kind of have a doubt of like, how do I hold these two seemingly disparate disciplines? Like, how do I hold them together? How do I pursue a career that allows me to be
Mhm.
fulfilled in both capacities? Because, there have been people I've talked to on these interviews who are like, yeah, I'm on pre-med, but I'm also really interested in musical theater, and so that can be scary for some people to think like there are these two opposite things that like I love. How do you go about being confident that you can find a way to bring them together? What has been your experience with that?
Yeah. I mean, like to this day, I doubt. Like I have no idea what I'm doing, like what my role is gonna be. But I feel like I just like have trust in myself and like trust in God that like He knows where I'm going. He has my path ready for me to just go and I'm just following along. But yeah, I would just say like honestly, like the 4+1 kind of really set me up. Like it was just the perfect way to mix both of them. Like without the 4+1, I probably would have ended up doing like a markets and management certificate and like just kept it pushing and maybe just found my way to like where I am now. Um, but yeah, I think also like how I've known it's possible too, LinkedIn. You guys need to use LinkedIn. Find people like my freshman year. My professor actually told me like to go on LinkedIn and figure out like, okay, find people who majored in mechanical engineering and see what jobs they have now. And mechanical engineers are not mechanical engineers. Like they do, like some do become mechanical engineers, but like others are in consulting, some are in finance, like people pivot to software engineering. Like there's just so many routes that mechanical engineers can go in. So I think that also like really helped me to be like, okay, Jada, you're fine. Even if you want to pursue business, like you can still be a mechanical engineering major and like pivot if you ever want to pivot and like just you know what, next year I might be a finance girly, we don't know, but like if I want to pivot I can pivot if I really try hard enough to. So yeah, just like seeing what other people are able to do with the degree kind of really helped me and kind of solidified that okay, the path I'm going on like is an okay path, like it's not that out there for me to wanting to do like business and engineering at the same time. So yeah, I feel like that. And then yeah, just like my experiences too. So my sophomore year summer, I actually worked like at a marketing consulting agency too. Um, and I feel like through my experience, I really enjoyed that experience. And in a way, they're all kind of the same. Like I feel like all of it's just like problem solving and like coming up with solutions and like being creative in that mindset. So I just feel like any position that I'm in, like I think it's just building me to become like either a better engineer or a better businesswoman, whichever it is, like it's helping any position is just helping me grow in either skill set. So
I feel like all of that was really helpful and something that I want to applaud you for. And I hope you know this about yourself, but if you don't, I'm going to point this out. Is that I personally really admire just the flexibility in your thinking. And maybe this is something that's come, with your interest in mechanical engineering. Obviously, that involves a level of creativity and problem solving. But I just really like I aspire to be somebody who can like trust myself, but also I'm a religious person too, trust in God, right? I came into college also like you said you were set in ECE, electrical and computer engineering. I was set on the cultural anthropology path. And when I finally decided to pivot and do psychology, I was like, oh my gosh, like my world is falling apart. Like, this is not a part of the plan, and it just seems like you have so much more of a like go with the flow mentality and just be like, hey, like I'm open minded to these new experiences. I'm open minded to things playing out in a different way than anticipated. And just like How did you get there, Jada? Like, I want to be there at that point, you know?
Yeah, okay. So I would say like how I'm officially here and how like I am like completely like go with the flow right now.
Did I
Um
hit it on the money with my compliment? Was I right on the money?
yes, you were right. And thank you so much for that. I'm so happy like you can see that through like my experiences. But I can tell you guys like a little story about even how I got at Disney. And I think that's why I'm like very open about like what I'm doing. So during my junior year summer, I actually had an internship at another company. And I solidified that from like October. I was like, okay, it's done. And then in February, I was actually driving to church with one of my friends. And it just like came to me. I was like, I need to study abroad. Like that has been one of my goals at Duke is to study abroad. Um, but the COVID happened my freshman year, so that kind of like wiped everything away. And I wanted to study abroad in Australia during my junior year fall semester, but they denied my application because the borders were closed. So it was kind of like study abroad was just out of the question. But in my head, I'm like, you need to study abroad. Like, what are you doing? Especially I'm on financial aid. Like, Duke is paying for this. Duke is paying for me to go abroad and take a class abroad. Like, why am I not using the resources like to my advantage? So I was telling my friend this, and she's like, Jada, like applications closed in like beginning of February. I was like, you know what? Let me just look online. Let me just look. I looked online and they had one program that extended the deadline to like the week
Was it Australia,
before.
Jada? Was it
Huh?
Australia? Was it Australia?
No, no, no. It wasn't Australia. It
Okay,
wasn't
damn. Sorry, I
Australia.
was rooting for you. I was rooting for you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, Australia was long gone because I was a semester program and I just wanted to do a summer. So I was like, it was actually Duke and Venice. So I was like, you know what? I slept on it and I was like, you know what? Let me apply. I literally applied the day before the applications were due. I applied and I got in. I called my other company and I explained the situation because that's another thing I didn't want to do is like to renege on an offer. Like I wouldn't recommend doing that. But like I just explained my situation. Like, and they were very understanding, especially because of COVID. Like COVID just messed up everyone's world. So they were very understanding. So they were like, yeah, we can extend your offer to next summer. You go abroad. So I'm like, whoa, I'm going abroad. So, and then at this point too, like, and I also knew, so usually like your junior year summer, you usually want an internship because like you want that full-time offer, you want experience, you're going to graduate. But since I was doing the 4+1, I was like, you know what? I have my whole life to work. I can get an internship after my senior year. Like, it's fine if I'm not doing an internship during my junior year summer. And I came to terms with that. I was like, it's fine. So I accepted the study abroad program. And when I was studying abroad, now I'm in Italy, just enjoying life. In May, one of my friends texts me and he's like, hey, I'm not really, I got an offer from Disney, but he's not taking it because he wanted a full-time offer. Do you want me to send your resume for an internship? And I was
Jada, why
like,
is your life a movie? Okay, literally stop. This is a movie. Okay, keep
and
going.
yeah, I
Keep
was like,
going.
yes, of course. And then another anecdote to this, this is also important for like networking and stuff. Like I specifically told like this friend that like it's always been my dream to work at Disney, things like that. And it's very important to like share your interests with your colleagues because you don't know who they're gonna be with, who they're gonna can set you up with, connect with. Like, yeah. So he sends my resume to Disney. They email me. I have an interview. I got the offer. I was like, hold on. I am in Venice right now. I get back like June 19th. Can I start the next week? They're like, that's fine, Jada. So right after Italy, I went to California and did my internship at Disney.
And
More of
that
the
means you backed
story.
out of that other one. Did you back out of that other one that they had extended you for? Because like the first one that you
The
dropped
first
to
one
go.
was a different company.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. What happened with them? Did you just say, "Hey, I'm not coming"? like
Oh,
vibe?
so yeah, so that was for the next summer, and I ended up saying no to them because I realized I wanted to stay at Disney and I
Okay,
wanted another internship
that'd
at
be
Disney.
this summer, basically.
Yeah, that would be this summer. So this summer I should have went back to the other company, but I told them no at the beginning. I was like, I'm probably gonna end up going back to Disney.
Okay.
Yeah. So moral of the story is opportunities can fall out of nowhere. Like I was literally
Woo!
in Venice getting an offer to work at Disney, and like my internship started like 4 weeks after that my interview. So it was like very like fast paced, like things just came out of nowhere, and it was just like me trusting myself like to just study abroad, like
Mm,
yeah. So now I'm just like a go with the flow person. I'm very much like anything can happen, any opportunity can arise. Also, like I've learned that positions, like there's so many positions that we don't know about. Like I feel like we know like engineer, lawyer, doctor, but like there's like nitty gritty like product strategist, like innovator. Like there's so many different jobs out there that you don't even know exist. And
mhm.
I just feel like building connections with people, telling people what I like to do, like someone is gonna find me. The job is gonna find me and land into my lap some way. Like I'm gonna have to work for it. But I think with my experiences and like meeting different people of different backgrounds, like I'm gonna end up in the role that I want to end up way down into the future, like when I'm over 30, maybe earlier. But I think I can take my 20s to just like go with the
Mhm.
flow and see just what comes to be. So,
I think like I mean it goes back to those two things you mentioned earlier of like you trust yourself and that is so apparent. Like I'm working on my confidence, but I can tell like Jada, you have arrived. Like you are there. Like just there is something that you even said about you were like, yeah, I know that it's normal for people to usually do an internship before like after junior year to get that full-time offer, but you know what? I know I'm gonna be able to get a job. Like, who talks like that? Like that is where we need to be aspiring to get to because like Jada, you knew like you have a Duke education, you got your grades, like you're qualified, like you know what you have to bring to the table. And like I hope that other people, including myself, watching this, listening to this, can get to that point too where they're not afraid to deviate from the norm, to buck the system a little bit, to do something else that involves trusting themselves and trusting their abilities. I also think like not trying to get all evangelical here or like evangelize people to like believe in God, but like you say opportunities fall out of nowhere. I'm like, that's the man upstairs delivering.
well,
Okay.
yeah, no, it's God. It's not out of nowhere. It is God because even I will to this day say like something told me that you need to study abroad.
He was pulling you there and then
It
he
was God.
provided.
I believe it's God. People can believe it's other things, but that's what I believe.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's just like are you Christian?
yes.
As a fellow Christian and Christian, like I have just learned from your story. I'm like, you know what? He looking out. He looking out. I just need to let him work. Okay. I need to let him work. So I needed to hear that today. And for anybody else who needed to hear that, hopefully y'all that resonated. But okay, so that was inspiring. And I feel like I'm just trying to approach my senior year, be a little bit less rigid, need to be a little bit more just
Yes.
like, yeah, easygoing. And so I appreciate you telling us. I was like hanging on by my
Like,
seat. Like I
what's
was like,
gonna
okay, what
happen?
happened? Yeah. So I'm proud of you that everything worked out. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit to you talking about LinkedIn. This is the first time that this has come up at all during the interviews that I have been doing, and I think it's just because you're older and you're at that place where you're a little bit more seasoned in your schooling and all of that. How did you like? I guess LinkedIn, even for me, is just like a very intimidating platform. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like I gotta go put my resume, I gotta update my stuff. Like, how do I find people? Like, what are your three go-to tips for like navigating LinkedIn? And also, like, how did you like? Okay, yeah, this is really me just trying to like find out for myself, and hopefully other people can benefit. But like, do I find other people in a career that I'm interested in via my connections, or I go like look that up? Like, how does that work? Jada. This is me revealing
Yeah.
my cards that I'm
Okay,
confused.
I'm not the biggest LinkedIn person either. Like, honestly, LinkedIn like freaks me out sometimes too because I like every time I like do an internship or something or a big project, I'm like, Jada, you need to post. But then I don't
Mhm.
post, and like now it's too late to post. So like maybe one day you guys will just see like a dump from me of like every single thing I've ever done in my work career. One day I'll start, I don't know when. But yeah, I literally have the basics, like a little bio about myself and like my resume, and that's pretty much it. That goes into like my profile. But how I've navigated LinkedIn before, one, like if your school like has like any speakers that you're interested in. So I remember one time it was actually a guy who worked at Disney. And this was like my freshman year. And because like Disney has been like a dream up there, like to be an Imagineer, like Disney came out with the Imagineering story. I watched that. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like I can be an engineer and make rides, stuff like that. So it was always like kind of up there. So I remember like one time Duke was having a talk, and I just saw like the list of panelists, and I literally like followed one of the panelists, reached out to them, and had a talk with them. So like it could be things like that where like you see someone's name and you're like, oh, I'm kind of interested in their listening and hearing more about their story. Let me reach out to them on LinkedIn type of thing. And then I think there's a way you can like type in like certain like buzzwords, but then also filter it by school. So I would highly suggest like filtering it by your school and like saying like if you're interested in like software engineering at Apple, or even if there's just a company you're interested in, Apple. And then you can like filter Duke University and it'll populate all the people that works there and went to Duke. I think that's how it works. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, there's like a way to filter people. So I usually filter people by like Duke, and for other people watching, like whatever school you go to. So filter people by the school you're going to, because I've learned that alumni love talking to students. They love giving you knowledge. So yeah, it's just better to go to an alum. You could reach out to other people from other schools. Not really sure like how receptive they'll be, but like if you have a good pitch, like and they love to like mentor and like help other people, I'm not sure like why they wouldn't answer you. Or I would say like just like even at the company, if there's someone that like you're really interested in like at your internship, you can follow them on LinkedIn. And then you can also like look through like maybe like your manager's LinkedIn people and like see who they're connected with. So like there's different like loopholes, but yeah, I would suggest just filtering it by school and then maybe like the position that you're looking for.
I love that you spotlighted the advice about alumni because that's something I had to learn early on when I was taking a gap year before coming to college. Like y'all, for those listening, like Jada hit the nail on the head. I mean, these people that you're reaching out to who are 50, 60, 40 in their career, they're busy. Their inbox is being flooded with all types of people. And if you can just put in the subject Duke student looking for, job or seeking internship, and like they're a Duke alum, they're more likely to click on that email than just like somebody else, right? So leverage the fact that this world is who you know. People trying to help their kin. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
their Duke community, their
It's
whoever
Forever
community.
Duke over here. They're all about Forever Duke. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Jada and I know. Okay, love that, Jada.
Yeah.
Now,
Also, another tip
yes,
of advice too,
please.
wear your Duke gear to the airport. Please wear your school gear to the airport and go up to people that are wearing Duke gear or your
Wait, do
school's.
you have a fun story, Jada? Because I feel
Yes,
like you're bringing this. Okay, go ahead. Because
I
I'm like,
do
I
have
know,
a
I
fun
know you have a
story.
story. Go ahead.
It's not that fun, but I was at the airport and I saw a guy wearing a Duke shirt. So happened there was a seat next to him. I sat down. I was like, "Oh, did you go to Duke?" He was like, "Yeah, I graduated like Pratt 84, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, I just graduated. I'm Pratt class of 23." And he was like, "Oh, what'd you major in?" I was like, "Mechanical engineering." He was like, "Oh, I'm mechanical engineering too." Random man at the airport. And I got to learn from him, listen to what his background in. Like now he's like, he works in finance at Goldman Sachs. And I was like, pivot? Like, are you calling my name to pivot to finance?
He's trying to be a
Maybe.
finance girly, everybody.
Yeah, don't be surprised. But yeah, so like out of that, like I was able to just build a connection just because the man was wearing Duke, and it turns out we literally had the same major, and he's like into finance business, I'm into business. So we were able to talk. It wasn't a long conversation. It was probably like 5 to 10 minutes, but I definitely got his name, followed him on LinkedIn. So like that's just like an easy connection that I just found just by somebody wearing a Duke shirt. So if you wear a Duke shirt, like people might approach you and ask you like what you do, especially if you wear it in the Raleigh-Durham airport. Like,
I think
yeah.
two things on that note. Like one, I think when people wear a Duke shirt, they're asking to be talked to, right? If they're wearing an alumni shirt of any university, like they're probably like, hey, somebody's gonna see me and at least say hi or whatever. So don't feel like people,
Yeah.
especially if they're wearing that their school, are gonna like be super snobby or whatever. But number two, for those watching who are not extroverted, like Jada and I, the one thing that I will say is people love talking about themselves, right? So like if you were coming up and you're like, hey, like just how Jada did, and she was like, I learned from this guy. I asked him questions. Like Jada wasn't sitting there just tooting her own horn, right? She was like trying to figure out who this guy was, what he's up to. I promise you that it will not be an awkward conversation if you make it about that other person. So
Yeah, it's not bad. And then another quick story too. This is one time when I was wearing a Duke shirt and I was actually on the plane coming back to Duke. Um, a doctor actually stopped me, and he's like a professor and a doctor at the med school. And at this point in my head, I was like, I wish I was pre-med because I would have been in his lab working. Like he was talking to me, we were chatting it up, even though I wasn't pre-med. In my head, I was thinking like, wow, if I was pre-med, I would have asked that man for a job on the spot. And I would have been maybe not accepted to do med, but that was a great connection to have just right there. And that was just me wearing a Duke shirt. So wear your college gear to the airport,
there
please.
you go. Wise words of Jada. Wear your college gear. I love that. So okay, Jada, let's pivot a little bit. I made a note earlier about how you brought up how your mom has been a really just like supportive figure and even like helping you decide like what you were going to major in and like what you're studying and all of that. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your family background and just some of the values that you feel like your mom or somebody else in your life has really
Yeah.
instilled in you and how that set you up for success at Duke, but also the confident person you are today.
Yeah, so I love my family. I'm a very like family person. Like family comes first for me. And yeah, I feel like my parents, like both my mom and dad, have just like supported me in like every single decision that like I've made up to this point. And they've just been like very open, like trusting on like all the decisions that I've made. And yeah, I definitely feel like they've just like guided me. My mom never like forced me. She wasn't like, Jada, you have to be an engineer. It wasn't anything like that. It was definitely just really guiding, like parents knows best type of thing. So yeah, and I do have two brothers, one younger and one older. And I've definitely like learned and grown from them. And then yeah, I have a big family on both sides, a lot of cousins, aunts, my grandparents from both sides, my mom, my dad's side, they've just all been supportive like to this point. And like even like for graduation, like my aunt and my uncle and a few of my cousins came down for my graduation. And it was just like such an amazing moment. Like I literally cried because I was just like, this is just so beautiful. The amount of support and love that I had like coming to Duke, and then like also just like coming to like a PWI, like, and just like coming to an institution like Duke is just like so unbelievable. Like to this day, I am like so grateful and like still shocked that I am here and that like I've graduated with a degree from Duke. So yeah, just like having that support behind me has just like been amazing. And then it's just like I know like some people, and I literally was talking to this about like my family, like some people don't have that support and like don't have that like big like family background and like love from other people. And like I would just say for like those people that don't have that, like you can make a home at Duke. Like you can build community. You can find people that genuinely love you and support you. And just like even tutors, like they're there to support you in a different type of way, but like you can get the support you need in like different avenues. And I feel like even in that sense, like pushing away from family, like I found support from my teachers, my friends, just the community that I've built at Duke. So I would just say that there's like different avenues for support, but I would say like family has been like my number one.
I love that you one are so family oriented. I definitely resonate and relate to that, but also that you offered the caveat of like not everybody has that. And you're right, like we don't always get to choose the family that we're born into and like how supportive they are, but we can choose the other people that we choose to let into our life. And kind of a mantra that I've been living by is like honestly, the people and the company that you keep are like they are just as big of a determinant of your success as you are. And that's because, like, if you are having people in your life who are anchors to your ship, you are not going to move. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how well you're steering, right? You need people who are fanning the flames of your bonfire. That's at least how I'm trying to conceptualize things, and I'm like setting boundaries with certain friends who are not supporting me in the ways that I need, and trying to cultivate relationships with professors who are going to help me get to where I want to go. So you're right, you can find community and make a home for yourself literally anywhere.
Yeah.
And that was a really good piece of advice. I'm curious about where your drive to go to an elite institution like Duke came from. Was that an ode to what your family has done for you? Has education always been a really important aspect of your life? Where did that drive specifically come from?
Yeah, I just feel like education has just always been like the top of like my family and like what we've believed in. And like I've always like I was the girl who like cried if I wasn't able to go to school when I was in elementary school. So like I've just like always loved school. And it was like never a question whether or not I was going to college or not. Like it was always just like you're going to college. And college was something that I always wanted to do too. Um, so yeah, and then once high school came around, I would say maybe around my junior years when I started like thinking about schools, and I come from a low income background, so I knew that if you went to an IB or like Duke or Stanford, they had like what is it, need-based aid? Yeah, they had need-based aid. And I was like, I need to get there because to go to college basically for free is like amazing. And then you're also going to like a top institution for free.
Jada,
So that
I
was
need you, I want you to really pound that home because people watching this are also going to be like, is it possible for me to afford going to school there? So
yes.
tell them again. Yes, yes,
Come
it is.
here, apply. And if you don't have the money to apply, if you're low income, there are fee waivers to apply to these schools. So you don't have to be spending $1,300 to apply to 10 schools. Like I didn't pay for a single college application. Find the money because the
Did
money
you
is
pay? Did you pay for your SAT and ACT testing?
now.
See, fee waivers for that. I mean, this is about knowledge, Jada. People
Yeah.
don't know this, but the money is there.
The money is there, so please take it. So yeah, I didn't pay for my SAT, ACT. My AP exams I didn't pay for, but my school paid for them. But if I did have to pay for them, I probably was gonna find a fee waiver anyway. So yeah, so that was like once I found about the need-based aid, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I also found a program called QuestBridge, and yes, I applied
Yeah,
for.
talk about that, Jada. Talk about
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Questbridge is a program, and basically they have like a bunch of different institutions. Some are Ivy, some aren't, but they're all really great schools. And basically, I think it's like your beginning of senior year, you apply to become like a Questbridge finalist. And Questbridge goes through those applications, they choose their finalists. And then once you become a finalist, you're able to like,
And you do have to qualify by being from a certain income background to be a part of QuestBridge,
yes,
right?
yeah,
So that
Questbridge
goes to again, the money is there. Jada just said
Yeah,
everybody.
Questbridge is also a low income. I think it's like more low income. I'm pretty sure it'd be like you're middle class, maybe you can apply for Questbridge too. But yeah. So once you become a finalist, you're able to rank schools that you want to do like early decision or like early action to. And then once you do that, they'll like send your names to the school. The school will go through all the applications, and then you can basically be matched to a school. And if you're matched during that early decision round, Questbridge gives you a full ride to whatever school. I believe that's how it goes. I believe it's Questbridge gives you a scholarship to go to whatever school matches with you. I ended up, so I was also at a point to senior year, I didn't know what university I wanted to go to. I didn't have like that dream school. I thought I wanted to go to Columbia because it was in New York and I was born in New York. My family's from New York. So that was kind of a top school. Also Stanford, because I wanted to go live in California for a little bit. But I wasn't really set and clear. So I didn't want to do early decision for any schools because I didn't want to be stuck. So I ended up only ranking 3 schools, which were like early action schools. And I didn't get matched with them, but that was okay. So I didn't get matched and I ended up doing regular decision and basically applying to all the Ivies regular decision, Stanford and Duke. And then also I applied to Florida schools just in case I didn't get into the Ivies. Had to have a backup plan. So yeah, I ended up getting into Duke. And then since I was, and I believe to this day, I'm gonna say it was because I was a Questbridge. Like I think my Questbridge helped me get into Duke.
No, Jada,
Like,
you're gonna say it's because you're you.
oh no,
You're
it's
gonna say
because
it's
of me.
because
No, yes, it is because of me, but everything helps. Everything makes your application stand out a little bit more. So I'm very grateful for Questbridge. Whatever ounce they had to drop into my application being selected, it helped. It was a fraction, a small fraction of my application. But yeah, so I ended up getting accepted into Duke, and Duke is a Questbridge school. So there was like a Questbridge community on Duke's campus. So I would suggest applying for Questbridge. And if you're definitely more open, because I wasn't open on like just putting all the schools and then like just letting them decide where I was gonna go, kind of. But if you're open and like you just want to go to school and you want to go to school for free, rank all the schools, and that increases your chances of getting matched with a school. But for me, I only did 3, but some people can do like 15, and that's like 15 schools you have a chance with matching with. So if going to school, like if the location and the school really doesn't matter and you just want a really good education, like Questbridge is like a really great program to like be a part of. But yeah, so like that's how like I would say Duke came about, and how I wanted to go to Duke or an Ivy League was because like, and I did get into the University of Florida, and University of Florida would have been way more expensive for me to go to than Duke. Way more. And my tuition was covered at UF because I was like, they had like this bright futures scholarship for like Floridian residents. But it was still going to be, I don't even know how much more expensive, but way more. But coming to Duke, I didn't end up paying a single thing. Like my housing was covered, food was covered, tuition was covered, everything.
so I want to make sure I can quote you on this. Obviously, like just for the purposes of this, people that also are coming from students that are also coming from a low income background, is there any reason for them to be discouraged about, can I pay for a school with a high quality education like Duke, Stanford, the Ivy Leagues? Should they be discouraged?
Not at all. The
You
money
heard
is
Jada.
there.
You heard Jada. Okay, everybody. You heard
Yes.
her.
I
So
even
that's
like
what I'm trying
joined
to.
programs, like I got tutoring money, like even being a part of NESB, like they were flying me out to conferences, like the money, like once you get your foot in the door here, like you will be set. And if you ever need help, like financially, like there are resources on campus, like there are people you can talk to like help you either budget, or there's some little fund that you don't know about. Like I know like they have like a woman engineering fund at Duke to help people like go to conferences and pay for like professional attire. Like those things cost money and those things are expensive. And there at Ivy's, maybe like I can speak from Duke, like at Duke, there is money to help you if you need the help.
Absolutely. And I think that so often, you know, the people at least that I am really wanting to empower with these interviews, knowledge is power, Jada, and that knowledge is not always widely circulated. That elite schools want people like you, people like me. They do. They want to make a way for you to be there, and they're like, hey, if I gotta pay for you with this big, what is it called when they've got the there's like a word for it where it's like that's all they're endowments. They're big endowments. You're like, what are
Yeah.
you saying? They are gonna use that endowment on you. So everybody don't be discouraged.
Yeah. And I believe Duke just said for North Carolina and South Carolina residents,
Sure did, Jada.
if your family makes less than like $125,000, you got a
Free.
full ride to Duke.
And did you go study abroad on with like Duke funded you abroad?
Yes. They
Oh
funded
wow,
me
okay.
abroad.
Dang. So look at that.
I did
Everybody.
not spend a dime abroad, tuition, food, flight, accommodations,
Mhm.
everything covered.
Okay. Well, I hope that that's encouraging for folks watching this. And okay, so we're coming up on our hour. Jada, I want you to leave us with either a story, either because I can tell you likes telling stories.
I'm
So
so used
either either a story that you feel like is really going to give a take-home message that you want people watching to resonate with, either a piece of advice, something that you're like, if they have tuned out for the past hour, if they get anything from this, it's this last thing. So what you can take that anywhere you want. I know that's so open-ended.
Okay. I'll probably give advice because I feel like I've been giving you guys a lot of stories.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say really like trust in yourself. Like you got it, you can do it. And like don't be discouraged, like coming to like a top institution or like even like any institution. Like college is hard, but like you can do it. Like you have the abilities to do it. There are resources out there to help you. Like if you're struggling, like you can get the help that you need to pass the class. Like you just need a C to pass the class. Like you can do it. You got it. So I would just say that, just really like trust in yourself, find things that you're passionate about. Like I would say like it was hard for me to like figure out like what my passion was. And I'm still really trying to like curate what that is to me and like what I really want to end up doing with my life. But like just like have one thing that like you're really focused on and like just develop that. Like there's like so many different things. Like even like if you're really interested in music and you don't know what you want to do with music, like there's so many avenues you can go with music. Like so many things that you don't even know it's like possible, like could be possible. Like even mixing, and I'm gonna bring in like my manager at Disney. I believe he like majored in like music or something around that sense. And based on like his thesis or like whatever work he was doing, like he got hired for an internship at Walt Disney Imagineering to like work on some sort of like music engineering project. And it's just like you would never think that like music and engineering and those two things go, but like they do in some sense. And there may be a role where you're able to like mix your passions that could be totally different and you can mix them and like turn them into something. So please don't like try to hinder anything that you're really passionate about. Like really use it to your benefit and use that as a talking point. And yeah, just meet a lot of people, build your network. That's another thing. Networking is key. Like it is so important for people to know what you want and to know where you want to go and to just have people in your corner. And I guess the last point I would say is like build a support system, build community, find organizations that you're really passionate about, that you want to be involved with. And you don't have to have like a big fancy role or anything like that. Just like stay involved, go to the meetings, meet different people. And yeah, I would say those are my top things.
All right. Well, I feel inspired by that. And Jada, like, it's because of talking to people like you that like I'm excited to have these interviews. Like I'm literally like, it's almost you know, it's almost 7 o'clock over here. I know it's later for you. And I'm just like, I feel high on life. I'm like, Jada's got me energized. She's got me ready to take on my senior year. And so I hope that everybody else tuning in also found all of this information from her super beneficial. And thank you so much, Jada, for your
Of
time.
course. Thanks for having me. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to reach out to me, please, I don't know if Mackenzie will put like contact information, but
I can, Jada, just text it to me and I can put it in the caption.
yeah, please reach out to me if you have any questions about like my background or you just want to be connected to someone somewhere. I got you.
All right. All right, everybody. That's a wrap. Thank you again, Jada. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.